Roman, good morning. Welcome to Dadsense.
Good morning, Supervisors. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and special thanks for waking up on a Sunday morning at 6 o'clock in Germany. I really appreciate it.
With kids, you wake up anyway early, so that's the only, let's say, me time I still have.
That is true. That's true. Well, I've been looking forward to our conversation, Roman. I know we've been chatting for a while to do this, so I'm really glad that we are finally able to do it. Hopefully, tech holds up and we are able to have a nice conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I heard the podcast with you and Paul, and I was very excited to join as well.
Yes, yeah, I remember Paul connected us, and I must send him a note after this. So, yeah, I mean, you and I gotten to know each other for a while now, and you're of course a busy business executive, and we'll talk about your work life and how it plays with fatherhood. But I want to start by asking you my first question. When people look at you or your LinkedIn profile, they see executive board member, global leader, speaker, author. What do your twin boys see you as?
None of that. They are 8 years now, I would say, and I hope that they see their caring father. At least they recognize me as their dad, hopefully,
Right.
um, as the caring and loving father that I try my best to be every
Yeah.
day, hopefully. But they got, of course, they with 8, they just know that you go to the office, you're coming back, and normally work is something that's for kids, as I can remember, is taking away your dad. So you're not available, you're not
True.
there
True.
when you're at work. So sometimes work is okay. They know that you have to go to work to, let's say, ensure that we have a living. But at the end, is something is taking away their dad every day.
True.
So,
True.
and it's always a struggle. So is work more important or not more important than me? But that's what they see, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll take some time. Mine is my son is 14 now, and my daughter is 11. I think my son is starting to see things work a little bit differently than how you described. Now he knows that you do work for what you love, and of course they know that dad needs to get some money so that we can all live peacefully. But beyond money as well, he's starting to see the meaning of work and what makes brings you joy and so forth. So I think it's a journey. But I hear you. At 8, they're probably saying dad is gone to work now, and uh, they're not necessarily seeing work as a very friendly thing at this point.
Yeah, I try to explain them. For example, every time now this is the second job since they were
Yeah.
born. I try to bring them to work and show them what I actually do.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's easier to see robots or machining, or that I explain them, okay, this plane or this car can only fly because dad and the company is working at these machines. So it's more storytelling,
Yeah,
just like
I love
podcasting.
that actually. Yeah, that's when they start to. That's a great idea. That they start to connect some of this work that happens and how daddy can make a difference in some shape. So I think that builds that connection. True, true. Uh,
Right.
I know you started on the shop floor way back, Roman, and now you reach the executive board level, which has been an incredible journey for you. What part of the journey are you most proud of today?
I would say proud is sometimes a hard name, a hard thing, because I'm trying to be aware of the impermanence of everything. So everything can be here today and gone
True.
tomorrow. I also try to teach that to my kids, because so I try to be not too proud, but I guess it worked out well because I always was curious, and a little bit of serendipity, I think, as well. But if we say proud, I would say that I took decisions when I needed
Hmm.
to. So sometimes people stay in a job or in a relationship or anywhere else because they don't want to take a
Yeah.
decision. And in a world like now, where you have whatever in this world, if you don't take a decision, it's more worse than taking an 80% sure decision. So if you ask me what I'm proud of, for example, I'm leaving my job as a shift worker to go to study at the age of 27. That's actually probably the thing that I'm most proud of, because I was really afraid if I don't make it to study or I don't finish my studies, I'm let's say on the street. I wouldn't have a job. I would be unemployed and wouldn't have a
Right.
degree. So this, I guess, it was the biggest step. No rich parents to support me. So going out of my regular job after 12 years and going back to study was the hardest decision.
Well, that's a great decision actually. Looking back, because I'm sure a lot of your coworkers who didn't take that decision may have just for no fault of them, just probably weren't able to get those opportunities. Right? You're right. This moment in time decisions play such a
Yeah,
long
they
role.
thought I'm
Yeah.
crazy.
Right. That's right.
It was 2010, 2009, 2010 when the financial crisis hit also Germany. So everybody said, "Hey, you have a good job. Why are you leaving that to go to study?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 That's right. Um, let's talk about you becoming a dad. How did becoming a father change you as a leader, Roman?
I guess just as you know best, and everybody else who became father, I think the first thing that changes your how you deal with patience.
Mm,
I would say
yeah.
before I had kids, I was not super patient because of course and things go good or wrong or turn out bad, and you are
Yeah.
impatient for the next step or whatever. But when you have two kids, in our case like
Twins. Yeah.
twins, they they teach you patience. So if they're hungry and crying, and you need to survive until mom is coming back with the food, for example, because she's carrying it around, of course. Then you know what patience is, and you cannot, let's say, you cannot shout to the on them and say, "Hey, shut up" or
Yeah.
whatever. You need to be patient. You need to comfort them, and it can take hours, and then you do it again, and through the whole night. So I would say, kids teach you patience a lot, or teach me patience a lot. So today, when something happens at work, I try to be patient, and I know it's going away. I need to take some
Yeah.
decisions, but it's not the end of the world. What I
Yeah.
mean.
No, so true. So true. Absolutely. I mean, it totally resonates with me. We all have seen our own share of impatience, how to get everything done fast and things should move fast. But there's no time moving fast when your kids are crying and you need to console them and calm them down. You have to be with them and wait, like you said. So true. I couldn't agree more. Um, you often talk about, and we'll obviously get to your book, Roman, which I'm really inspired by. But you often talk about or write about ambitious fathers, right? In a good way. But what happened when your twins arrived? How did ambition contextualize for you when your twins arrived?
I would say, how can I say, ambition in job. I was as starting as a machine worker. I was never up to let's say a specific career. So it was not that I said, okay, I want to become CEO or I want to become this or that. It was historically grown career, I would
Yeah,
say. With every step, there were new opportunities, and I took the opportunities when I could. But there was never a fixed plan that you say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I become CEO with 40. So there was not a perspective on career that I had before the kids. But after the kids, I would say the first thing that changed was, I was planning to go to Tokyo because I was working for a big company in Japan that time when the kids arrived. We were just moving to a new place. And then the kids were born on a Friday morning, 8 a.m., 12 minutes apart from each other.
wow.
So for 12 minutes, I was a dad of one kid, and then 12 minutes later, the second arrived. And you are not. nothing prepares you for
Yeah.
that. And then there was 2 weeks later there was a board meeting in Tokyo at the headquarter, and I said, okay, 2 weeks after the kids were born, I can go 5 days to or 10 days to. I was 5 days to Tokyo and have this board meeting because I was the first year in this company. It was a big honor to go to Tokyo as the only foreigner in a Japanese multinational
Wow.
company, in a Fortune 500
Yeah.
company. And I said, I'm gonna go there, um, but I will be 14 days at home before. And on the day I left, I thought like, this doesn't feel right. So after 14 days, my wife alone at home, and the hormones is different
Yeah.
after 14 days after giving birth.
100%.
And I thought this is not perfect. So I boarded the plane. I arrived in Tokyo, and I did not have the same feeling as before when I was traveling. I was traveling a lot, maybe once or twice a month, before we had kids. But when the kids arrived, Tokyo felt different. So every day I was looking forward to go back. And when I came back, after these 5 days, I knew that the world is totally changed for me. So it's not like just everything you plan and you go. It's a home. It's where a family is, where two people more are looking forward to see you again, and you are looking forward to, let's say, hold them in your arms. It's not the same. I'm together with my wife now since 18
Yeah.
years. It's You can survive 5 days or a few days without each
Yeah.
other, but with kids it turns different.
Yeah. You put it so beautifully, Roman. The whole idea of business travel, going for big meetings, going to another city, another country, which all sounds very exciting before you're a dad, changes completely, right? It sneaks up on you, and this whole excitement, like I remember, it's fascinating. Of course, many dads share the same stories. I was in Los Angeles, and I remember when my son was 30 days old, I had to go to Hong Kong for a big meeting, and I used to work at Disney, and I was so excited that, first of all, to be honest, selfishly, I actually was looking forward to getting on a plane so I could sleep, and I was looking forward to getting some sleep.
I get it.
And when I landed in Hong Kong, it was just bizarre. Like I did not. I felt guilty, of course, leaving my wife. Like I'm sure you felt a little bit of guilt as well. But beyond guilt, you feel like it's not as much fun as you thought it would have been, or it was going to be. So I absolutely hear you. The meaning of everything shifts. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yes, before everything you say, oh, it's a pleasure or it's great to go there, but afterwards it's super hard. And you mentioned one thing. You said many dads share the story. Actually, they don't. That's a problem.
Oh yeah,
I would say that's a
true.
great thing on your podcast, or maybe writing a book. A lot of dads don't share this. They still, let's say, live in the bubble of, oh, this is great. I have to do this all the time. So they're not sharing the hard thing about it.
That is true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it. In fact, that's a good segue to my next question, Roman. Just speaking of, so continuing with the theme of ambition and ambitious dads, what is the biggest lie ambitious men tell themselves about work? I mean, I'm sure you met a few, and we've been ambitious ourselves. So, what's the biggest lie we men tell about work? Sometimes ourselves.
Of course, it's always not an objective answer because you have your world around you and the people you talk to. But I think that only quality matters is the biggest lie. I would say that we as men think, okay, if we take an hour a week or 2 hours a week to go to have an ice cream or go to the zoo, that this is enough for the kids. I think that is one of the biggest lies. And of course, that you can have all the careers in this world without sacrificing family. I also don't. I also think that's a lie. So you always will sacrifice something because you have 24 hours a day, and it's not gonna be more.
Yeah,
If you spend 80, 90% at work, it's 10% for your family. It doesn't
yeah.
get more. You cannot add it. You also cannot add it with money. So I think quality versus quantity. sometimes this is a lie we tell each other. So to don't feel the guilt.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. That's fascinating. Talk to me more about this quality conundrum, which I actually have fallen into the trap of myself. Why does quality not suffice? Why is quantity important?
So when I did the research for my book, I try to not just have stories that I tell on my own from my own life. So I always try to have science-based
Hmm.
backgrounds. And this was the chapter that I most, let's say, was most interesting for me was actually quality versus quantity, because the Gonda Research Institute in Israel made the test. So they put people in an MRT,
Hmm.
male, female, different couples, and showed them interactions with their kids, so videos, photos. And then they did a research on what kind of part of the brain reacts the most. And then they looked at, especially at the amygdala. The
Hmm.
amygdala is responsible for your sense, for your feelings and emotions. And they could see that the parent that has more time with the kids is reacting more. So that means um, in the first group they had male and females. So all the females had a bigger reaction on the pictures with the interaction with the kids, um, that in the MRT scan. So of course one could say, okay, that's clear. Women are the better parents, and they react more than men, but it was more the time. So what they did, they also had a group of both men, like two
Hmm.
genders, so two
Hmm.
dads, so homosexual
Yep.
parents. So and then the interesting thing is also the men who spent more time with the kids had a bigger reaction, just like the other group's females. So it means it's not about gender. It's about the time that you spend with your kids. Your amygdala reacts more on the interaction. So it means it's not only quality, it's also the quantity of time that you spend.
That's fascinating. Thanks for sharing that
So
research.
it's also the little interaction during the week. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please, please. Yep,
Yeah, so
yep.
also the little things in during the week, like
Yeah, please finish your thought. I think there's a
so
lag.
brushing your
Yeah.
teeth with the kids or whatever. So little things. Oh, sorry. That also the little things, the interactions with your kids during the week, having a dinner or brushing your teeth or bringing the kids to bed. These are things that are very important for you in the connection with your kids. So not only getting let's say an ice cream or going to the zoo. I think it's important also that they recognize that you as a man are not only the, let's say, the entertainer, so that you also have a bad day when you have emotions, when you're crying maybe or whatever, that they see that, because the kids learn from the interaction with you and not from what you tell them. So, and I think as men, we tend to have the quality time. That means you spend a wonderful time with the kids, and all the other, let's say, emotional, let's say, parts of the day and the harder parts of the day are covered with the mom. So dad is always happy, dad is always funny, dad is always laughing. So as a young boy, when you grow up, you think as a man you should always laugh, you should always be happy, you can never cry. That's what you tell them, because you don't tell it to them, you show it to them. So you need these smaller interactions during the week as well, that the kids see that you are also just a human.
Wow, that's pretty powerful, Roman. Couple of things. One is, of course, in my many conversations with other dads in this podcast, we do talk about this time spent and how it's important, the quantity versus quality. And one of my previous guests actually calls it the garbage time, which is doing all the messy things, right? Like cleaning the diaper, um, and all the things like the chores, the day-to-day stuff, and how important it is for dads to be involved with that. So we've talked about it in the past, but what you brought is actually research, that the research backs it. I did not know that. What is this institute again, Roman, that you found the research from?
It's the Gonda. It's Gonda Research Institute, but you can also find it in the book and in the notes of the book. So you can read, actually, it's a scientific paper. So it's not just somebody telling about it. It's really a scientific paper with high standards in research. So you can see the groups of people that they choose and all the results that they got.
Fascinating. I know we've been sort of teasing our viewers about the book, so let's jump into the book. Actually, let's dive into it. I know your book is just coming out now. Why don't you tell us more about the book and take us back to the inspiration of where did this inspiration come to you, particularly on the top of while being a dad to twin boys and having a busy job, you also were inspired enough to write a book about fatherhood.
And the interesting thing is, I never wanted to write a book actually. So there was never a plan to write a book or write down and then search for a publisher. It actually was that I don't know if you know, I had a podcast too with two other
Yeah,
entrepreneurs. It was back in 2020. So we produced about 60 episodes, and then the publisher came to us and asked us if one of us would like to write a book about the topic. So actually, I never wanted to write a book, but the publisher asked if one of us would like to do it. And the other two said, "Ah, no, I don't try." And I said, "Okay, let's try." So I got the book contract before I even know what to write about.
fascinating.
So and then it was the first year of COVID. It was the first year of COVID, and the kids were happily, or they were sleeping at 8 p.m. always every day. So every day I took 3 hours to write at the book. So I was not watching any TV for a year or whatever, um, and was writing the book every day. And the main reason to really do it and take on this challenge was because actually there is no book about career and fatherhood. There are only books available on fatherhood, so how you can manage to be a great dad, or you can find career books
Correct.
that tell you how you're gonna make it to an executive level. But they never mixed. I never saw a book where hey, I want to be an active and caring father, but I want to have a career. There's never a book which covers both. So I was reading both books and said, hey, this book is not going to tell you that you have sleepless nights before you have a board meeting. And that book is not telling you that you have a board meeting after sleepless nights. So no book to survive both of that. And that's why I said, okay, that's a great sweet spot, because I wanted, actually, it's not a parenting book, it's a career book for dads, without sacrificing time with family and really reflecting on what's really important in life and what's your career worth at the end. So the book itself is more to ensure that dads have a career without sacrificing also the career of their kids and also the career of their life of their mothers. So that's why
Yeah,
I
can you
wrote
show
the
that again,
book.
Roman, so our audience can look at it? It's the just bring it.
Yeah, that's a pre-vision
Yeah,
for
working dad,
what you get for pranking.
the working dad, right?
And that was the title of the podcast before. So I just choose the one for the book as well. So because there was a lot of books before what's called Working
Yeah,
Mom, because actually women do deal with this
all the
career and
time.
parenting all the
Correct.
time since hundreds
Yeah.
of years. Right. So every woman who reads the book probably will say, "Hey, I know this situation very well." But actually, dads know this. Dads who really want to be active fathers, they know the same situation, and they need, let's say, they need the same gender. They need other dads to talk about it, and so that's why I think that your podcast and such books are very important for men as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So again, just sharing this with our audience here. The book's name is The Working Dad by Roman Gaida, and it's releasing in India as well, right, Roman?
Right, it's releasing in India on 21st International Father's Day, 21st of June.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so Roman, yeah, that's fascinating. The book's name is The Working Dad, and I love how you put the book's positioning in such a crisp, simple way. Yeah, you're right. There are books about careers, there are books about fatherhood, And honestly, there's obviously this premise that you have to sacrifice one to be the other, right? That if you want to be a father somewhere, you may underplay your career and vice versa. But so therefore, what you are trying to bring about, and you are a great example of that, who spends so much time and does so much work as a dad, but you're also a CEO of a big company, and this lens will help hopefully our readers, the readers of this book, that you can actually try to balance both, and there are ways and tools which you can use in order to be a successful professional, pursue your own career pursuits, and be there for your children and be a present father at home, right?
Right. For example, how to choose the right company is often about the right company that enables flexibility. So I also talk in the book about that we should not work less. We should work more flexible, because at the end, performance is necessary. I'm a CEO. I'm taking care of the company's health, and also the workplace for the employees. That means if you don't have a workplace, you don't have compatibility for life and work. So you
Mm-hmm.
always first need to ensure that there's a profitable company, that you
Mm-hmm.
can ensure that people have a living and also can, let's say, have spend time with their kids too. So if you don't have a profitable company, you don't have the second one. You don't have an outcome for your family, and you also cannot spend time with your family because you're busy searching for a job, probably. So first, you need to perform one way or the other, and this comes down then with company culture. Because at the end, if the company culture is, for example, your boss wants to see you every day and every minute for 12 hours a day, and you cannot leave when you finish your work, or you cannot, let's say, for 2 hours spend time with the kids and the homework, and then go back to work, then you don't have flexibility, because some workplaces are still, you need to hustle and everybody needs to see you, for example. Other
Yeah.
workplaces, and I try to lead like that, we are looking for performance. So if your performance is good, you can work flexible. Of course, I'm not a big fan of only home office, because you need to spend time with your teams and create a culture of working together. But on the other hand, you should have the flexibility, and it should be allowed that you say, hey, I have a sick child, I need to work from home, or I need to go to shop groceries for 1 hour, and then I come back to work. This must be possible with people who are all the other time performing really good. So that kind of flexibility and openness is very important. So let me tell you one thing. During COVID, in the US, there was also a research that 90% of the fathers were lying about their parenting duties when they were asked what they done for the last hours. So they said, "Oh, I had a meeting with finance," or "I had a meeting with, for example, marketing." But for 1 hour, they were comforting their kids their baby when it was crying. So when you don't have the psychological safety in a company, that a father can say, hey, I need to spend 30 minutes with my kid, or something happened at home, and they say, oh no, I have a meeting with finance, then you don't have a psychological safe workplace. And that's very important. That creates stress. So if you
Yep.
can be open to your boss and say, hey, I need to do this with my kid, then um, then you actually don't feel the stress from your family and from your
From work.
company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, a hundred
Yeah, from
percent,
work.
100%. That's one thing that I've been espousing and championing all along in my career, actually, and it helps a little bit that I'm in human resources, so it's definitely a part of what we want to encourage in the workplace, which is psychological safety, flexibility. But you're right. I mean, the culture of the company is overriding all of this, right? Which we all are a part of. So I'll ask you a provocative question here, Roman. You said choose the right company or culture, but you and I know very well that not every dad, not every human has the luxury to choose a company, right? Sometimes they have a job, and that's what they that drive their decision. They don't get the luxury to think about the culture and whether the company has the flexibility. So, how would you advise? How would you help dads navigate the same question, particularly when they don't have the choice to choose the right culture? You know what I'm saying?
If you don't have the luxury to choose the right culture, at least you can try to influence the right culture. Of
Hmm.
course, if you have, for example, if you have a bad company and a bad boss, then it's really hard. Yes, I would say so. But on
True.
the other hand, sometimes if you just start sharing also your duties with your colleagues, maybe it changes over time. So actually, I was starting in a Japanese, let's say, Fortune 500 company. You can believe me that there in let's say in other cultures, being a father and taking on this role is not so common, and is the
Right.
I would say is not very common in Japan. So if you look at the statistics, um, in Japan, you would be allowed as a dad to take 1 year off parental leave fully paid.
Okay. In Japan?
And what do you think in Japan? Yes, how what do you think how many people in Japan were when I was writing the book 2022? How many people in Japan took this? How many dads?
Yeah, I mean, knowing a little bit about Japan and having had my own teams in Japan, I would say not much. Knowing a little bit about the
No,
culture.
it was 6% of the dads did it, and
Yes.
90% of this 6% only took off a week. But they would be allowed fully paid 1 year. So, but nobody does it. So it doesn't matter if the political environment would allow it. It's still the culture that decides if you can do that as a dad or not. And if you don't have the luxury to choose the company or choose your boss, then at least you have your coworkers. So sometimes when you have coworkers and they are also dads, you can start to talk about the duties and the emotions that you have being far from the family. And I would say that also changes a lot because sometimes also in teams you can share these duties. So sometimes maybe a colleague of you can take on some work and you do that for him or her.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can try to change your environment, and I also tried to do that, changing my own environment instead of let's say being just a victim of it. Of course, I know that still there is companies and maybe also bosses where you cannot, let's say, spend much time with the family because one scene in the book, what I was describing was I was flying from Nepal um, to
I remember. Yeah,
um,
I remember
to
reading that
Dubai,
scene.
and there was
Yeah.
a yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a worker sitting next to me in the plane, and he was describing me that he was just visiting his family. And I asked, "Oh, great! Like, do you come back next week or so?" And I said, "No, I coming back in a year." I said, "What? In a year?" Yes, and he said, like, "Yes, I'm working in Dubai in the touristic industry, and I only see my family for 1 week." And his family is living in Nepal in a village in the mountains in the Himalaya, and he's sending money, and so their kids, so his kids can go to school, and he's working 51 weeks a year in Dubai and only goes back for 1 week to see his children. So that's what I mean with when you say some people don't have the luxury. I know that, and yes, but the ones who can and who probably hear this podcast, they should change something. Because at the
So,
end, after you retire, you still have your family. Your job will be gone, or you're changing your company, whatever. Every in average, maybe every 5 to 7 years, maybe, and your old company is gone. Your family will still be there. So it's your
yes.
decision at the end.
Yes. Thank you for shining a light with that contrasting story. And I read that. I vividly remember reading this story in your book about you sitting on a plane heading to Dubai, and that actually broke my heart. Like, I know that this happens, but nothing like hearing a specific example, right? Which actually hits you really hard. So yeah, those of us, those fathers who don't have to work in another country for 51 weeks and gets to go back home for 1 week, we still have some choices that we can make and have those conversations and work at work. So absolutely right. Speaking of that, Roman, I know you've talked to a lot of dads. You've done a lot of research about your book. What are some of the most common regrets you've heard from senior executives and fathers?
Yeah, that they spend too less time with their family and kids, or they regret when the kids turn 16 or 17, and the fathers made a great career, made a lot of money, and then they think they can turn back the time, then they say to their 17-year-old son or daughter, hey, let's go on a hike, or let's go play tisch tennis or whatever, and the kids say, no, dad, I want to spend time with my friends and not with you. And this is the problem, because you cannot turn back the time between whatever 0 and 12 years is the time that you have with your kids. It's not 25 years or 30 years or 35 years. The time when the kids really look up to you and say and jump into your arms when you open the door, it's very limited. So it's only maybe until 12 years old. Afterwards, let's say they make their own, they want to be their own independent um, life. And that, I think, is the regret of a lot of dads, that they did not spend enough time within this time frame. And you cannot buy the time back. Maybe you can make great vacations later on, but you cannot buy the time with your kids. And also, the relationship with your kids is built in this time frame. Maybe later as an adult, of course, you can try to work back, but it's not possible. This time is gone. And even more, some of the let's say senior executives older than you and me, they regret a lot because they never took any time off, or never let's say made any decision for the family. They were only working, because in the culture in the 80s or 90s, it was even more hustle culture, where you say, okay, no flexibility. It's also not about performance, it's also about being there, showing
Time.
up every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
um Time. So it's not about only about performance, it's only about how you look, how the society looks as you as a man.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely hear you. I mean, we both grew up in that generation of our fathers being in that environment, right, where it was one identity: provider, go away, do work, bring the money. But at least now things have shifted. So you're so right. I mean, you cannot turn the clock around and say, I'm going to shortcut this relationship. I'm going to fast track this relationship building with my son now that I've made my career. So this is a really powerful statement, Roman. Thank you for sharing. I think it's a great reminder for all the dads and moms listening, of how important that initial, 0 to 12, 13 years old, where the foundations of your lifelong relationships are taking place. And unfortunately, you cannot shortcut it. You cannot fast track that at a later date. Now, if a dad is working long hours, Roman, and a lot of dads work long hours. I mean, you having worked in Japan, you must have seen so many dads working long hours. And if they're feeling guilty every day, what would you tell them?
Just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's just like creating habits, everybody knows who read some books, creating habits starts small.
Yeah.
So at the end, if you only take 15 minutes, sit down and play with the Matchbox cars or whatever with your kids and be fully there, it's better than nothing and feeling guilty. So it's not about it's, yes, of course, it's quantity, but if you have only limited time, start with a little bit, and don't take your mobile phone with you. Don't look at your emails. Just 15 minutes, pure um,
Presence.
time and focus on your child and presence. Really be present. And if you have limited time, even 1 hour a week, like whatever, just be present. I think that's the only one important thing, because I think I'm myself. I have to remind me every day, because sometimes I'm playing with my kids or sitting next to my kids and say, "Hey, Dad, look," and I said, "No, I have no time," and look at my mobile phone and reading some emails even after work.
Hmm.
So that means this time is very important. So being present is super hard, even for me. You can write 10 books and your let's say your mind is shifting sometimes, and you're in another room or at work or thinking about tomorrow, and you're not present. So being present is the hardest thing, and but the best thing you can do. So if you only have the 10 minutes a day or every second day, be present.
But thank you. Speaking of habits, and I couldn't agree more. I think all the habits start small and you can build on it. Speaking of habits that helps you, what are the two or three habits that have helped you stay connected to your family and kids despite such a demanding career?
I would say one thing is, as you maybe also you mentioned, we talked about it once when we had a phone call. Stop drinking alcohol completely. So I was not drinking much before, but stop
True.
drinking completely because you're much more fresh in your mind in the mornings or whatever. So anytime you spend whatever, if you have a business dinner before and you drink at least whatever 2 or 3 glasses of red wine on the next morning when your kids wake you up, you're not as
Sharp.
present and as sharp as you should be. So stop drinking alcohol completely, for example. Stop watching TV. Since 5 years, we don't have a TV at home, so you spend more time with your kids and with reading every day. And also, the kids read more when you don't have a TV at home. Um, the other thing is really I try to stay healthy and fit. I'm turning 44 this year now, and I try to get up every day 5:30 and make sport 6 to 7 a.m. using the morning hours because the evening hours are reserved for my children or when I'm not at home for work and traveling. But I try to do that routine every day, 6 to 7 a.m. I do sports. And then I wake up the kids, prepare their lunch boxes, and then I go to the office at 7:30. So that's a routine I try to do every day because then I have at least in the morning I have 30 minutes with them, stressful 30 minutes with them. Sometimes, as you know, preparing for school. But that is a time that I really reserve after my sport session and bringing them to the bus stop or to the school now in the new location. That's time just walking with your kids hand in hand to the school 15 minutes. They tell you a lot, you talk a lot. It's a wonderful time and you can have that every day. And if you use that time wisely, yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, couldn't agree more. I think those times, those morning times or even bedtime, I find bedtimes to be another, precious time where
Perfect.
kids share a lot of things with you, right? Because they're going to sleep and you're just laying there with them. There's no shields. There's nothing to distract you. I find that moment very, very precious as well. So yeah, the morning hours, the bedtime, just create these rituals really help you stay connected and have that routine in your life. Thank you for sharing. We are going to start to wind down, Roman. Although I have so much to talk about, hopefully we'll we'll schedule this again, maybe as a follow up conversation. But let's start to wind down. What should ambitious dads stop doing immediately?
The thing that ambitious dads should stop immediately to think that they can do everything perfectly right. They will always sacrifice something. So even if you read the book, it maybe helps you to reflect, but it will not there's no secret lesson inside. There's a lot of reflection questions and ideas you can try, but at the end, when you're at work 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours, you sacrifice family and the other way around. So it's perfection is a lie. So don't
Hmm.
try to be perfect everything everywhere, because I would say um better, done is better than perfect, because perfect never gets done, you know.
Yeah, that's really the. I'm honestly I'm learning about that as well a lot because I've had my own struggles with perfectionism, procrastination in order to be perfect, and I'm slowly at this ripe age of 52, slowly trying to unwind my perfectionism so that I can get more done. And honestly, it gives you more joy to make progress than being perfect, right? Which is elusive.
Yeah, and the second thing, sometimes your perfection is not seen by others, you know. Sometimes 80% right is still perfect, you know, but your own perfectionism doesn't let you go and say, okay, good enough. But that's a very German topic, I would say.
Oh
They
yeah,
look at engineers and yeah,
yeah.
yeah, everything is 10 times more perfect than it should be. Must be, let's say it like this. Perfectionism is.
So do you reckon in Germany they bring this to their parenting as well? Perfectionism?
I would say yes. Sometimes yes. Like I once met a dad. It's not nothing not nothing bad about it. Who wrote down every evening when the kid started to sleep, because they said, okay, if I shift 20 minutes every day, then the sleep rhythm is better, and I do like with an Excel file. And I said, okay, if that works. But 6 months later, he came to me and said, Roman, it all messed up. It didn't work. I said, yeah, I thought about it, because they get teeth and they this. It's not a you can it's not a clockwork,
It's
but
not
it
science.
was fantastic. No,
That's
but it was
fascinating.
very German. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, now a couple of rapid fire questions, Roman. One thing fathers worry about too much.
Yeah, perfectionism, I think. Yes. Oh,
Okay.
what other dads think?
Right. What would others think? Correct. One thing fathers don't worry about enough.
Care, how hard caregiving and care work is.
That's true. Very true. They always underestimate that. What career advice what is the best career advice you've ever received?
What I ever received. Do what you love, really. Then it doesn't feel like work too much.
Yeah, true, true, true. And best parenting advice you would have ever received?
Just calm down. My wife is saying that to me every day.
Yeah, wife knows better for sure. And one thing, I know you talked about patience, but one thing your sons have taught you other than patience.
One thing other than patience. Let time flies.
Mm, very true, very true. I was remembering that actually absolutely yesterday. When I was looking at my 14-year-old son, he left home yesterday to be with his friends and came back and took an Uber actually. This is the first time he took an
He's a
Uber.
man.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened to this little boy? So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Last question, and you have to fill the blanks. Fatherhood is.
The best thing ever.
Thank you. I think that's you could not have ended on a higher note, Roman. Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. Fatherhood is the best thing ever, the best job ever, the greatest gift ever of human life. That's what I believe as well. Well, thank you so much for first of all, being so generous with your time on a Sunday morning with so much going on. I appreciate that. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Roman. I know you've done a lot of work, and may there be a lot more dads, ambitious, successful executives and fathers out there. And may there be a lot of dads who read your book, a lot of professionals who read your book, The Working Dad, and learn a couple of tools and then share their stories. Like you said, we men and dads don't talk enough about our life and experiences. So hopefully they read your book, they talk about it. And next time you're in India, actually in person, would love to sit down and continue this conversation.
We will do. Thank you for the invitation. And I think your podcast is awesome. It's helping dads a lot more than just a book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roman. I'll let you get back to your kids and family and have a great Sunday and good
They're
luck with your
sleeping.
move. All right.
Thank you very much. They are still sleeping. That's the good thing Sunday morning.
That's good. It's good. All right. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.